government security officer in the anti-terror squad of the Ghana Police Force.
I think
it is counterterrorism.
Counterterrorism. Oh, thank you. I sit here. Okay, counterterrorism. Thank you for the correction.
What I want us to get very clear is that I am not happy that the police in certain areas like the ones you quoted, Garden City and a few others, they are letting private guards do that work. And those guards, as you very well know, are not very disciplined. That's one point. The other point is our own civilians are also not brought up to speed to be able to deal with the situation. I was in one of the supermarkets. A lady came. This gentleman was having this thing that checks under the car. The lady just drove over it. So we've got to become sensitive on all sides.
She should have been arrested.
She was arrested.
I want to chip in there.
But what I was trying to say, the police should try and have a little bit more information given out. For example, they should be on radios. They should be on television. We should have these flashes coming up. Please check your vehicle. Please, even before you enter your vehicle yourself, parked outside, you should check it.
I'm always amazed to see that police vehicles drive through. If you go to the American embassy here, even the ambassador's vehicle is checked every time it is entering the embassy. But the police vehicles, military vehicles, people who have military jackets on the back of the vehicles, even when they're driving civilian cars.
To come in regarding the issue that Babu raised, irrespective of Garden City, there is police deployment at that place.
Yes.
And the hotel security. What is happening is that the police complements the security of Garden City. The responsibility of the premises management is with the proprietors.
But police is not being effective in that complementarity role, is it?
Police is very, very effective. I would wish to emphasize that. That's why we are also urging the public and the owners of the proprietors to come in to support the police.
Mr. Chombe, what is the level of the threat in Kampala today?
I would not wish to
it's around
comment
3.
on that.
It's around 3.
It's international practice.
Let's guess.
What I want to emphasize is that the security situation is
I
still
would put
normal.
it much higher.
No. It is international practice. I don't know why the Ugandan police...
We are taking measures
could I put the
to
question?
avert any other problems which can come.
It is international practice that members of the public are moving in tune with their security agencies. If it is level number 1, it is low, people relax. If it is level number 2, people get a little bit more conscious. If it is level number 3, you have the support. How do you mobilize the support of the public?
We have urged the public to be much more alert, taking into account the coming 9th September.
Bernard, isn't this where the security agencies and the police lose it and get accused of playing to political games? Because you have since September 11th, 2001 to date, legislation that has toughened, roping in the media, roping in members of the opposition. You can actually get a death sentence for being seen to aid terrorism in whatever way, I don't know, or possessing information, speaking to a terror organization. And we have seen, especially since 2005, that every time the political opposition has tried to organize something, terror has been waived as the red flag that prevents the political opposition from assembling peacefully.
I think there's a bit of that, but let's not forget that 9/11 is coming up, and I think it's true that they tend to try to attack, plan attacks coinciding with those anniversaries. That's a fact. It's just now happens to be coincidental that the opposition wants to have something, or activists for change. But I think, much as I agree that yes, political rallies will always be prevented, but I think this is a very this is sort of a different aspect to it. So if you're saying that the police is taking advantage of 9/11 to prevent Air Force from assembling, the opposition has always been prevented, even when there is no terror threat anywhere in the air, even when there's no 9/11. And so I think we should just separate those two for this particular weekend. But yes, I mean, governments around the world have taken advantage of terrorism to go after their opponents, and that is a fact as well.
Angelo, is it possible that we can track back and find where there has been this anniversary attacks across the world because of 9/11?
Yeah, it's just the modus operandi of radical Islamist groups to use specific days, events to amplify their message. And so this anniversary here is going to be taken not just here but around the world as an occasion to which to project. Because terrorism, of course, its very nature is to strike fear, and to do that you need to create havoc and then amplify it. And I think that is why there is concern here. To be quite honest, like at my small group of friends and our think tank, where I send advisories for the last month or so, I have asked them to avoid crowded places. Actually, against my better judgment, I have been going to the strip, the malls here between midday and 3, which I can tell you now is not a good practice at all, because the malls are actually not very well protected, and any small you just go and investigate yourself. You find how very weakly protected they are.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe just the other thing we were talking about earlier about the threat levels and all of that. Possibly even if Mr. Commissioner Chombe told you it's 4.5 on a scale of 5, I mean, how many people will process that information? I think it may be useful for maybe people seated around here, but for the vast majority of the people, that really doesn't mean anything. I think the point to understand is that there is a threat, be very careful, and these are the things possibly you would want to do, be aware of, be alert to, or you should
but
want to avoid.
Can I contribute my reasons for putting the threat level very high? Because they may be separate from what the police, with their vast resources, are estimating. One, we had thankfully an occasion of a severe drought in Somalia that allowed the military there, the African Union forces, to push
the Al-Shabaab
somewhere beyond the city limits. But also it has made them desperate, disrupted their fairly conventional warfare, meaning that they will resort to other less intensive methods to project their message, and that's just one reason. The other one is that Uganda's own system here, even if you want, you can just paint an X. Let's say X is that potential for terrorism. If you take these other occasions where the public has gotten scared, the banning of the tombs, the torching of the markets, everything has been interpreted as being part of the local political process. But in fact, domestic and other elements, that X, take advantage of internal confusion, and act as agent provocateurs. It's just that radical Islamists, have in their agenda to project that message, but there could be other terrorist elements not limited to. And I think that the danger always is to discuss terrorism in relation to what? To
Islamic extremism.
I can put it to you that my own assessment is that domestic elements, either working alone or in league with external groups, third parties in this region, are actively working to make the stability of the state untenable and taking advantage of local political quarrels.
Captain, just before we take the break, the question is, if the terrorists want to strike fear, and the police and the security agencies respond by putting out more fear, making the public more scared, what happens? You could reach a situation of paralysis.
Yeah, not only paralysis, people get even more frightened. But I think what the police and the government should do is to give us security culture, which we don't have in this country. In countries, I am sure Tabir and everybody who have been to Britain would realize that you cannot walk a street without being noticed by somebody in that area. If a black man walks down a street in Britain and says there was a black man here at 1 o'clock, somebody would report that. In this country, we do not have a security culture where we can report what is going on. It is beginning to develop, because one time I was in one of those malls and there was a little box and everybody moved away. and the police came. Luckily, the box was empty. But I mean, that was the sort of culture I'm talking about, where the average person, when given this information, they can process it like Tiberi has said. How many of us can do that? And that's exactly where I think where the police has got a problem. They've got to get the public to move in tandem with them, because what they know what is going on, and the public is not with them.
Do they actually know?
Oh, they do. They do. The police does know, and I think what they need to, government need to spend a little bit more money, right, cultivating that security culture that we are all supposed to have. For example, there's one thing people have not realized in this country. When you go in your car, these cars of ours that we drive, we have to be very careful. Look around. How many times have you ever looked at your tires? For example, when you're entering your car to drive away, have you ever walked around to see if your tires are still the same? Have you ever looked around to see if your mirrors have not been stolen? It is after you've gone you wonder, where did they steal this mirror from? You get my point? And then these people should teach us even a little bit more. There are local terrorist groups, and this is based on our economy today. Because of the level of poverty in this country, it's a rose bed for these people to put in very little money and get some of these young men and women to do some very unfortunate
You mean building of cells or indigenous
That's right.
terrorism?
Exactly.
I want to comment
Mr.
on the police.
Can I come to you after a short break?
Okay.
Let me come back to you so I have enough time to discuss. We'll be right back.
It's live. It's hot. Provocative. And digs deep.